morning, everybody. This is Rachel Haney with Central Indiana Real Estate Investors Association, also known as CIREA. And we have been starting a new short video clip interviewing people who are experts in the real estate world and the trending topics that we have going on. And today we have Mark Dolfini. He is known as also the Landlord Coach. So good morning, Mark. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm good. I'm holding my breath like the rest of the world.
What's the longest you can hold your breath for?
I used to be able to swim 2 lengths of an Olympic pool back and forth, and I'm pretty sure I would die if I tried that now. So
I think the longest I've ever done it was like a minute long, but now it's probably like 10 seconds. So I just don't have stamina anymore. So Mark, you're really well known in the community, especially in the real estate community. And so I just wanted to get together with you and ask you some in-depth questions dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic. So you're known as a landlord coach again. So what recommendations do you have for landlords and property managers that are scared at this time?
Well, obviously, anytime you're dealing with something that's just unknown, there's a lot of people who operate with, and they have a high need for certainty in terms of the way that they operate. I can't change that by remote control. I can't say, oh, well, it'll be okay. And people are like, no, it's not gonna be okay. I need to have a level of certainty that just some people need to operate under. So this is really stressing some people out more than others. You've got people who are, it's no big deal, it's no worse than the flu. And then you've got people like, thinking this is going to be the end of times, and everybody in between. And the thing is, no one's right. I mean, we don't know enough just yet. The best advice that I've been giving out, I feel anyway, is just remember at the end of the day, the real estate industry, the real estate business is a people business. And right now, the best thing that you can do is provide some leadership as that business leader, as that individual who, if you're an individual landlord or you're a property manager, you need to be having conversations often with the people that are around you, specifically your residents. Those are your customers. Mm-hmm. We're all kind of sick of hearing the advertising about COVID and these big businesses are responding to it. But I'll tell you, I feel like they're doing the right thing by communicating and saying, yes, we're still out here. Yes, this is what we're doing. I think that's what you need to be, even if it's just giving a call and just asking how they are. Mm-hmm. I spent a full week right as we were doing the first week of the lockdown or the stay-at-home order, and I spent that whole week calling my residents and just asking them how they were, and it took all damn week. And I left them with, some of these people they just knew I was the general manager, but they'd never spoken to me, and they just really appreciated. Not one of them was unappreciative that I called. I didn't ask them about rent. I didn't ask them anything. I just asked them, hey, how are you? And that really seemed to have paid dividends in a lot of ways. And I'm not talking business-wise. Was it a good business move? Maybe it was. But I didn't do it for that purpose. At the end of the day, you just have to remember this is a people business, and what's the human thing to do? So that's what I would be recommending, having these conversations. And I mean actual talking, using your mouth, picking up an actual phone, because this, whether you realize it or not, for those of you who are under 30, this actually makes phone calls. It doesn't just text message. It doesn't just send emails. It doesn't just send, it's crazy, right? So actually having conversations with people, and and here's the other thing too, and I know this, I mean, I can only scratch my head, and I hope some of these emails that I've seen are just not true. But I've seen in the early days where, people would be sending out, people, meaning like property managers or landlords, sending out these emails with these, these blanket, policies that they're making, and like rent is still due. Man, that is just that is just asking for trouble. I get it. They already know what the rules are. They already know what your expectations are. Just pick up the phone and be a human being.
Yeah, I think that's just really important. I hear you constantly say real estate is a people business, and I agree with you on that matter. That if we can just focus on the people side, especially right now, any businesses, they're going to go so much further down the road. Because I think people are going to remember this. People are going to remember this 6 months from now, a year from now, 2, 3 years from now, on how you treated them. You know, you may be, they still might be a client of yours or not, but I do believe that this will truly make an impact. I think this is kind of going to be a legacy writing on what your business is like. So
Yeah,
you want to
I
look
think
back and be like, how did I, as a business person, handle
right.
my tenants during this time? Did I show compassion? Did I show understanding? So
Right. And that's a great point. And to that point too, is I know, as you guys operate, you have a business, you have a small business and you're still working your people and we're still doing the same thing too. And it's really, really telling, how you're treating people along the way. And it's also really telling about how the people are treating us. Because, like I said, I mean, at some point this is going to come to an end. And if all I've ever seen is you coming to the till wanting, I'm going to have a long memory about that stuff too, because, I'm bending over backwards trying to make things work, doing, juggling, chainsaws right now. The other day I was out, helping, helping to swap out a water heater dressed like this. And I was like, whatever, man, the residents, they showed up and they're like, I said, hey, I'm here to look at your water heater. And they're like, looked at me like, I'm like, whatever, man. I'm just here to, I'm like, I'm wearing a suit jacket and a shirt, whatever, button down shirt, but whatever, man. You want hot water or not? And they're like, whatever, but I didn't care because at that point in time, I just needed to make sure that I got them taken care of. And they thought it was funny and whatever. And I got a little dirty, but that's okay. At the end of the day, we want to make sure that we're taking care of our residents. But, there's some people who are trying to do the bare minimum through this thing. And it just sucks. It just really, really sucks because right now the best thing that we can do is all work together. And right now even when you get that 1% drag, man, that 1% drag is just such a burden right now to carry. So really, you're going to get those people who are going to come to you, and it's the typical 80-20 rule. You might have 80%. I mean, we probably have like 95% really, really good people that we work with and that we work for. But man, you get that 5%, and man, that is just wears you out. Please don't get hung up on the 5%. There's so many other good things out there. Stay true to your vision. Stay true to what you're trying to accomplish. At the end of the day, remember that if you're healthy, if you at the end of the day you want to get home to your family, at the end of the day you've got goals and a vision you're trying to accomplish. That's what's important, not the 5% that are wearing you out.
yeah, I think that's gem. That's words of wisdom that you're just giving right there. And I just think sometimes people just need that reminder, just that vocal reminder. I think that for some people this comes naturally, like, oh, this is what we should be doing as humans and having a business. This is what we should be doing. But I think sometimes people just need that little reminder because we are all emotional. We all are dealing with this unknown and we just don't know how to handle it. And it can be scary sometimes, but sometimes just somebody who's considered an expert in the field, just kind of being like reining down and being like, hey, just let's pause. Let's just rewind here. Let's just take a breather and just kind of take a step back and remember why we're doing this. So now my other question is, so in the Time Wealthy Investor book that I have, and it's fantastic, you speak about strategies for people to scale and grow, but what do you say to those investors that feel like they need to jump back in the business and tear down those systems just to save some money?
Well, this is actually a really good time. I mean, some people have an abundance of time to look at the things. And if you're seeing redundancies or, this isn't necessarily a bad thing to do. Like the first week of this, I had a little bit of extra time. So I looked at my financials. I looked at some And like I had 3 cell phone plans that I wasn't paying, that there were 3 extra cell phones on my plan that I wasn't even paying, that I wasn't even using. I didn't even like, why do we have these numbers? And I looked at my AGM, she's like, I have no idea. So I said, all right. So right off the top, I mean, that's not a ton of money, but it was $150 a month that we were spending in just nonsense. Um, we looked at some other things, looked at some other systems. I mean, right now, it's a really good time to look at what is absolutely essential, what's kind of the nice to have, and what's just absolute nonsense that you have. I mean, literally going through, if you have an accountant who's preparing financial statements for you, literally go line item by line item and look at each one of those things and saying, is this absolutely essential? Or is this something that's just kind of a nice to have?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it just honestly just genuine fluff that we
Right.
really don't, we started doing and we don't even know why we're paying for it anymore.
Yeah.
Right. So things like that are just really, really important. But again, first, make sure you eliminate the nonsense. Then you can pay for the automation, and then you can pay for the delegation, would mean your virtual assistants or your associates or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So eliminate. That's fine. I'm fine with you eliminate stuff, but just make sure you're eliminating stuff that's not core to delivering the product of your business.
Right. Right. Yeah. I think we do forget what we've been paying. Sometimes I have to go back and be like, okay, we have Hulu, we have Netflix, we have this and this
Yeah.
and this. Like, what can we get rid of?
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Um,
And that's a great point. Even in your personal finances,
yeah.
you take your credit card statements and go line item by line item and say, what stuff that we can get rid of and what stuff that we don't. I mean, it's funny, on a personal perspective, my wife and I would go out every Saturday night and we would budget about $100 to $150 for Saturday nights, but we wouldn't do anything all week, right? We wouldn't eat out. We would eat at home. We get to have lunch every day with each other, but we would literally do nothing all week. And then we'd have this extra about $150 to go out on a Saturday, right? We go
Mm-hmm.
out, whatever it was, whatever we wanted to do. But we haven't been able to go out. So we got this stash of
Nice
money, and we're
stash.
like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, what are we going to do with this? Well, it's funny because we were using it to pay off some debt that we had,
Mm-hmm.
which will put us even a much better financial situation. Now we've been, but because I'm a little bit more of a saver than my bride is, but now we're really, really, we're firing on all 8 cylinders. We're working together. Like she's not spending money, I'm not spending money on stuff. But again, when things get back to normal, we get to go back out again, and we'll go and we'll spend. Maybe we'll treat ourselves a little nice. We'll have a big weekend rather than just one Saturday night. But
Mm-hmm.
the thing is, we went through each individual thing in our credit card statements. We found just stuff that we were paying for that we just don't even need. Like
Mm-mm.
we like our life would not be impacted one way or the other if we kept
Right.
it around.
Yeah. 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 It's a bit, you kind of feel like, oh, wow, this has been going on for months. I've literally been
Right, exactly.
throwing money out the window.
Right. So,
So, what are some characteristics or processes that you see in landlords that are successful during these times?
well, during any crisis, like back in, the characteristics that I seen that, I mean, there's not a whole heck of a lot you can do about it now, but people who had a little bit of a war chest set aside, people who weren't over leveraged. I mean, my portfolio is somewhere around 40% loan to value. Some of it's in the 30s, some of it's in the high 40s, but most of my stuff's around 30, mid 30% in terms of loan to value. Um, but the thing is, I still have loans out there, right? So as I'm chopping those down, I mean, I don't have a lot of debt. I mean, I've been telling everybody in the world, just because I'm so proud of myself, I actually paid off my student loan several years
Good.
early. I got it
Yeah.
paid off last September, but that saves me bandwidth. That saves me a lot. And like I said, there's not a whole heck of a lot you could do about that now if you haven't been doing that. But get in contact with your banks before things go sideways. Don't wait for them to go sideways and then expect them to work with you. I'll tell you right now that the characteristics of communication are huge.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just bury your head in the sand. Get in front of it as best that you can. The best thing that I could do, I mean, stay in touch with your banker, even if you don't necessarily need to be calling them. Don't be that bad friend that only needs something, that only shows up when you need something. This is
Mm-hmm.
the time. This is why I say develop a relationship with your banker, and I means a relationship, not just you show up whenever you want something, but call your banker, ask them if they're hitting their goals, ask them how they're doing. Um, like I said, right now is a little late to be doing that, but learn these lessons that you're seeing, because I'm telling you, this right here is going to define a generation.
Yeah.
Just like 9/11 defined us, right? Like, you might have been a little bit young for 9/11, but it really impacted me. Like, it impacted me hard, not just because I'm from New York originally, but because I was a young professional at that point in time, and there were so many unknowns. I didn't know what to expect. We didn't know we didn't know when the next attack was going to come. We thought for sure it was
Hmm.
going to be the next day or the next day or the next
Yeah.
week or the next month, and and as time went on, we got a little bit more and more lax. But I'm telling you, this is going to define a generation, just like 2009 did, just like the Great Recession did, just like, I mean, these every 10 years, if these things keep coming up like the way they do, it's going to
Yeah.
define a generation. And I think this is going to, we're going to have to accept what a new normal is.
Hmm. Hmm. Absolutely. So what you're saying though is just don't over leverage, and just make sure you've got your debt isn't so much that you can't handle. You've got a little bit of savings on the side, and not just for landlords, but I mean this applies to everybody. I mean,
Right, right. I mean, obviously it's too late to do that now, but what I'm saying is, if you are in trouble, if you didn't do any of that, and because people were looking at me like I was, trying to explain Bernie Sanders, they were like, why aren't you buying stuff right now? Why aren't you buying stuff right now? And I haven't been buying stuff. I haven't been really excited about buying stuff in the last 3 or 4 years. I haven't really bought
hmm,
anything.
yeah,
And people look at me why I wasn't, using, I've been hoarding cash, and I said I was hoarding cash for years. And
uh-huh,
people were looking at me like I was crazy. And I was like, because I'm not that excited about the deals that were out there.
right,
Were there deals? Absolutely. I didn't want to work that hard for them.
hmm,
Now I've got all this cash and everybody thinks I'm a freaking genius. And I'm like, no, I went through 2009. That's what defined me,
hmm, yeah,
because I couldn't pay my water bill and my electric bill in the same month.
hmm,
And man, when you're that broke, like,
hmm,
that changes you.
yeah, you don't want to go through it
So
again.
I won't go through that again. That's why I'm happy to go out and turn wrenches on a water heater if I have to. Like, whatever I have to do,
Hmm.
I'm not above any of that.
Hmm.
So, but what I'm saying is, right now there's a time for you to learn the lesson. And banks are going to be really, really skeptical about taking properties back. I mean, they know what that looked like back in '09. That did not work out well for them. They got TARP money to help
Uh-huh.
cover them up. I mean, the stimulus money is going to help them to a certain degree, but they know they're not going to get much help from the government. They've got to work with investors. They've got to work with people who are holding properties, even if it means investment properties. Are there going to be foreclosures? Absolutely. That's going to happen.
Hmm.
That sucks. Um, but I think the banks are going to do all they can to try to work with people who have houses, because they know what that looked like, and that did not work out well for them right now. I
Yeah.
mean, that did not work out well for them back in 2009. That's not going to work out well for them now.
Hmm.
So that's why I say, like, I don't think there's going to be this huge explosion of, foreclosure. Again, I could be wrong. Um, what I am a little bit concerned about is this flood of money that's hitting the market, um, because that's going to devalue the dollar. It's going to make the
Right.
dollar less
Yeah.
valuable,
Yeah.
because because everybody's got the same thing. A benefit to everybody is a benefit to nobody. So I'm a little concerned about how that's going to shake out.
Hmm.
But the velocity of money. I mean, I don't know how to plan for that. My brain isn't big enough to figure
Yeah.
that out. But
Yeah.
what I would say is, like, right now, I'm a little bit concerned about how that's going to play out. But otherwise, I mean, right now, make sure you're in front of your banks. Talk to your banks. Make sure that if you need to get a workout in place, get it going sooner rather than later.
Okay. Absolutely. Yep. It's not too late to get started, at least. I mean,
Right.
it's better late than never.
Right.
So, last question. What is your favorite quarantine guilty pleasure?
Um, you know what I've actually been doing? So, I'm a professional student like everybody else. It seems like in the RIA world. who you buy this course and you buy that course.
Mhm.
And I actually have a course. I'm not going to hold it up because I don't want to implicate myself, but I actually have a course that's still in the plastic. so I've actually been going through all the courses, and some of them I've been going through again. I've been through them once, and I'm just I'm just sharpening the saw.
Mhm.
But it was funny. I was up until about 2:30 last night. My wife came up and finally just dragged me to bed and literally said, "Stop, put it away, whatever it is. It can wait till tomorrow." But I was caught up in this one online course that was just really, really good. And I forgot how good it was, but it's just, again, me sharpening the saw. So unfortunately, it's kind of one of those things that I love learning. A big thing for me is growth. And I love to learn stuff and just, implement it in different ways. So that's actually what I've been doing. I've been going through all the books and all the stuff that I've been meaning to do and just
Mhm.
plowing through it. And, but then again, I've been really, really busy too. So I can't say it's just that I've been stuck at home. This has just been one of those things that I've been doing, that I've been finding myself doing just because I've had a little bit extra time at home.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. Well, that sounds like it's a great um, thing that you're doing. I mean, you're not doing something. You're furthering yourself, your knowledge, and I mean, you could have said so many other things, and I would have laughed. But this is actually pretty good. You get an A for that answer. So. Um, well, thank you so much, Mark. And I will actually say that Mark is my personal coach, personal business coach also. So highly, highly recommend him. He's got just so many, he's just a wealth of knowledge, being in this industry for so long. Name it, he's gone through it. And that's what I really love. I love talking to people who actually can tell me, I can tell you this because I went through it. And that speaks volumes. So I'll actually add a link to his book, Time Wealthy Investor. So you guys can just quickly click on it if you want, and all of his other social media platforms. He's actually pretty big on the social media platforms. He's constantly putting something up. Anytime I'm doing work on social media, I see his stuff pop up, and we tend to like each other.
That's
But
great.
thank you again, Mark. I really appreciate it. And if anybody has any questions for him, he is one of the most eager people to want to help and answer. So definitely reach out to him. But
Yep. It's probably best to reach out to me on Facebook. Is probably the easiest way. Just Mark Dolfini, or you can go reach out to me through the Landlord Coach page on Facebook as well. It's probably the easiest way to get a hold of me.
Absolutely. So great. Well, thank you again. And I'm sure we'll talk sooner than later.
That's right. Very good. Thanks again.
All right. Thanks.